This is the 10th anniversary of our annual Global Brand Survey, and we're doing it yet again with the Financial Times. This is really an important event because it celebrates the importance of investment in brands. We've seen a 1.4 trillion value in 2006 has now risen to 3.3 trillion over that period of time. Apple knocks Google off the top spot, an increase in value of 67% this year. And I think the big story this year is that technology dominates the top 10 in our brand survey. It's actually 6 of the top 10 technology companies, and that was not the case when we started 10 years ago.
The impact of technology in the future really is about both opportunities and challenges. On one hand, of course, there's great opportunities because technology offers new empowerment for customers. Technology can be used in very positive ways to offer new benefits to customers, and they're very open to that. And that's certainly something brands can think about and how they can re-actualize themselves. On the other hand, technology in the future will also be a challenge because it comes with expectations. People expect brands to be intelligent these days. You know, I call you, you need to understand who I am, what my situation is, etc. You need to be able to use technology to create more intelligent answers, to create experiences that are more adapted and tailored around my specific needs.
What we've also seen is our BrandZ portfolio, our strongest brands, do very much better than the S&P 500 index over that 10-year period.
We've seen how much the consumer expectations have changed in the last 10 years. It is just going to dramatically change even more so in the next 10 years. The millennials are coming. I think we all know, I've got children, teenage children. They are on 4 devices at a time whilst watching TV, whilst doing their homework. This is a dynamic industry now that we have to, if we are going to keep up with the millennials and keep up with their expectations, our brand has to be agile and it has to adapt.
So another big change in what we've seen over the last 10 years is the rise of the faster growth markets, particularly China. Tencent is actually one of the most valuable brands in the world. It's the most valuable Chinese brand that we've seen, actually surpassing over the 10 years China Mobile. And we now have 3 from China, 1 from India, 1 from Japan, and 1 from Australia. If we went back to 2006, there was only 1 Chinese brand in the top 100 brands. Today, there are 14. So looking out for the next 10 years, clearly we're going to have a reflection of the change in the balance of power. More Chinese, more Indian, more African, Middle Eastern brands, and last but not least, more Latin American brands. And they'll be leavened with Indonesian brands, Vietnamese brands and other countries that are growing very rapidly at this particular point in time. Those brand rankings will be influenced heavily by consumers changing habits, whether it be in media, in new media, whether it be the rise of new young consumers, or whether it be because of the influence of big data and content, and indeed the social issues that consumers and people who work in companies are increasingly concerned about.
So millennial consumers have grown up in a very disparate and divergent time with fragmentation both in media but also in politics. We as a brand, L'Oréal, are trying to make sure we recognise exactly what those values are and flex ourselves to address those values. So brands must become constantly evolving, respecting their past but at the same time ensuring they're relevant and resonant.
Millennials have been surrounded by brands and crowded almost by brands for all they can remember. So they have developed an ability to actually not get distracted by them too much by really focusing on and very intuitively focusing on what's convenient to them, what's useful to them. What does that mean for brands? You need to think about how you're useful to these people. Not so much about being different, it's about being useful.
Big data is so phenomenally important in the future. Already it's exploding. It will explode even more. It's going to. With the Internet of Things and the machines to machines coming and the 50 billion devices being together, the unstructured data and the structured data, the structured data in your system and the unstructured data out there, the phenomenal amount of data that's out there, this is where technology brings that together, and that's where you can amalgamate it and actually know what individuals are doing and what they want.
Because you have an opportunity to engage with consumers at scale, but also in a relevant message for a particular community, and critically in a timely fashion, that's where it becomes really exciting. So that brands that are on the cusp of the moment, very fleet of foot, they're the ones that really will win the fastest.
It is about consumers caring more about what companies and brands do for society, absolutely. And that comes with information, that comes also with interest about what the brands and the products are doing, comes with the idea of sustainability, getting more engaged with communities in which we operate, doing more corporate social responsibility, and be part of the fabric of the society.
People look at Lehman in 2008 and say it had a big impact on consumers. Well, it didn't have, in my view, as great an impact on consumers as it had on corporates. I think ever since 2008, corporates have become excessively cautious. And as a result, there's a lack of, I think, thought, and you would say that coming from where we come from, a lack of thought about investment in brands and treating it as an investment and not a cost. There's a finite limit to what you can do on cost, whereas there's no limit, at least until you get to 100% market share, to what you can do on the revenue line.
Post-financial crisis, we didn't turn around and say, okay, let's just cut our marketing. We needed to increase our marketing to make sure that we could let the customers know now's the time to invest in your software and technology, not the time to cut.
And there's another factor that underlines this as well. As by and large in many categories, supply exceeds demand. We see it, for example, in the auto category, one of the biggest categories. The world can still produce 80 million cars and trucks, but consumers can only consume 60 million. So there is a need for differentiation, both tangible and intangible, and investment in brand is critically important.
Consumers will be able to choose whatever they want, and there is no money on earth that will be able to purchase a large amount of audiences the way we were doing that before. So we need to fundamentally change the way we're doing marketing. Marketing quality will go up. Poor marketing will die.